Alright y'all, back at it again today. I'm going to cut this little triangle piece off the top and off the bottom. That way it sits flat on the roof and I can put the decking on without having to go over this little ridge. I marked it out with a pencil. Got my jigsaw blade set at 45 degrees to match this. So hopefully I can do it. Here we go. Alright y'all, this is what I was talking about. Put that jigsaw on 45-degree angle, and now I got a nice flat stud to put the sheet plywood on. Although the leading edge of the plywood that goes here, I'm going to cut it at the same 45-degree angle, so this 45-degree angle slope will continue up onto the plywood, and then I'll probably sand that leading edge of that plywood. That way the fiberglass can flow over it nice and easy. Alright, now I just gotta flip this frame over and do this bottom part, and then I'm ready to put this thing up on the houseboat roof. Alright, I got these corners braced, so maybe when I go to flip it, it won't fall apart on me if I start twisting the frame. So wish me luck. Well, I got the frame flipped, and there's about half of the bottom side done. I don't know why the jigsaw just don't want to do it on this side, so I started using my Sawzall. It does considerably better than the jigsaw. That's about half of it done, got half to go. It feels like I've been Sawzalling 17 miles of board, but I guess I need to go out and get a skill saw. I hardly never do woodworking projects though. I'm always welding. You know, I'm always doing metal stuff, not wood stuff, but I guess I should have thought ahead more and got a skill saw for this boat project. But I'll run out and pick me one up, but I'll finish this out. Alright, let me get back to work. Alright y'all, here it is up on the roof. I cut the underneath side with the Sawzall to make it where it can go flat against the roof when it's time. I rounded the edges with the router because I come to the realization once I mount it on the roof, I'm not going to be able to get the router down all the way to the bottom because the router will hit the side edge of the roof, because this thing's just in from the side of the roof by about 1.5 inches, I guess, but it's not all the way forward yet. I still got to take these remnants of the aluminum rail off the roof, but once I get those off the roof, I'm going to slide it forward a hair. I'm probably going to slide it forward enough to where this stud falls in front of this old air conditioner hatch, and you know, then I got to take that aluminum, it's like an aluminum rain cover from where I guess this boat used to have a stove or something in it, maybe a hot water heater stove, something like that, I don't know, and that was the roof vent, but there's no longer a stove or a hot water heater in the boat, so that can come off. And then there's just remnants of, this is the old steering helm that's still stuck up, still about 1.5 inches up. So once I get this frame sitting where I want it, I'm going to mark with a Sharpie marker all the areas that I need to clear a path for the 2x4 studs to run through. Once I get this thing sitting flat on the roof and take measurements all the way around to make sure it's the same amount in from the left side as it is from the right side. Once I'm happy with where it's sitting, then I've got little aluminum angle brackets that will screw they'll come down like this, down the board and onto the roof a little. And I'll screw those L brackets on, and that'll hold the framework still for me while I bring the sheet wood up here and start screwing the sheet wood down to the frame. And that's my deck over. Man, it's an adventure. It is freaking boiling hot out here. All right, I've got this thing up on the roof now. I'm gonna go take a break. Thanks for hanging in there. All right, folks, I got this frame up here on the roof. I've got the little valleys cut through where the 2x4 studs can go through without any obstructions. And I've got the left-hand side, the port side, pinned down with the L bracket in the back and an L bracket about midway, so that's holding this left-hand side. It's holding it the right distance off the side of the boat that I want. This distance here is the same on the other side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this sheet of plywood to square my frame up, because we know the sheet of plywood is square. So I'm going to use it to square my frame up, and then I'm going to put the L brackets down the right hand side. And that way I know the next two sheets of plywood that I put on they'll square up the whole way. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, got the rear sheet on, and had to end up screwing the back down, not the side down. Screwed the back down, and that told me how the frame was out of whack going forward. I had to knock the right hand side frame, I had to knock it in and then screw that side down just with temporary screws. But that let me get my L bracket on the left and right side. So this middle part of the frame is correct. So I'm fixing to go cut the middle piece of plywood. So we know the rear plywood is square, and then I should be able to put the middle one in and it be square. And then I will reevaluate the front part of the frame and square it up, screw it down with L brackets before I put the front piece of plywood on. Then I'm going to be up here screwing a million screws in this deck up here. So that's what I'm doing now, fixing to go down and cut the second piece. Alright y'all, it's 6:30. I've been out here since 10 this morning. Got this deck all positioned and built. Got a million screws in the deck, and I rounded off the corners with the router. Started here, went around up to that corner, come back, and about 2 foot before I got to this corner, the router blade started adjusting itself deeper, and I screwed I kind of put a decorative corner on it, I guess you could say, instead of a rounded corner. So I fixed the blade issue, and I did this back part, rounded the corners. I just got to hit that corner over there with some sandpaper or something, smooth it out. Probably done messing with this thing for a couple weeks. I'm going to put a tarp on it. The seams all the way around where the new deck meets the old, or the new roof deck, whatever you want to call it, meets the old roof, that seam, I'm going to put what they call peanut butter in the seam. It's a mixture of fiberglass resin, powder, and chopped strand, all mixed up into a peanut butter consistency, and you kind of put it in your cracks in your little 90-degree corners. It's kind of like caulking, I guess you could say. You'd put it on and smooth it out to where it kind of looks like a bead of caulking, but what it does is it makes it where the fiberglass doesn't have to do a hard 90. It makes it where it can come down and do a gradual roll out to this flat surface. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and then once that dries, I'm going to start painting this thing with fiberglass resin, letting the resin soak up into the wood. I may have to do some little bit of body work here. You can see there's knots in it that the knots might have a little bit of depth to them. So I'll fill those with fiberglass resin first and let them cure, and then I'll sand it smooth, sand this whole deck smooth. Then I'll start laying fiberglass. Do a couple layers of fiberglass left and right and front and back, and then I'll do 3 or 4 layers of gel coat. And in the final layer of gel coat, I'll put the little sandy grip stuff. That way you don't slip on a wet roof. And I'll probably end up sanding all this roof. And there's little screw holes I need to put caulking in. This roof is at the very least going to get a paint job, if not a layer of fiberglass itself. But I'm done for today. It's time for me to go in and take a shower and have a few beers. Thank y'all for hanging in there with me.